Welcome to Paperweights, the podcast where two self-proclaimed gym rats and shooting enthusiasts delve into the world of literature with a sprinkle of humor. Although their biceps could crush a walnut, don't let that intimidate you. They also have a nerdy side. Mike and Brandon have a voracious appetite for reading, particularly in the fantasy genre, and they want to share their passion with you. So grab your protein shake and your favorite novel and join us for a humorous and insightful journey into the world of books with Paperweights.
Welcome back to another episode of Paperweights. I'm your host, Brandon.
And Justin.
And today we will be discussing part 3 of The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. I'll continue that conversation. Before we jump in, do us a favor if you want. Hit that notification bell on YouTube, subscribe, follow us, leave a rating or review where you can, share us. All those things help us get more viewers and listeners, which encourages us to continue doing the thing that we love and that you love to watch and listen. Otherwise, you might have some masochistic issues going on if you don't enjoy it, but you still do it. So yeah, do those things. It helps us out. While you're at it on the internet, go ahead and visit our sponsor's website, www.mudcatwhiskers.com, and check out what he has to offer. It's a Louisiana small business specializing in beard care products, candles, and their newly released cologne line. If you have a beard, I recommend daily use of the wash and conditioner and oil or balm. They also have beard butter, which would not be a daily use, but get it in unscented or any scent profile that you find that you like. And the candles, when he has them in stock, they'll come in a variety of those scents as well. And then his new line of cologne comes in most of those scent profiles as well. And I managed to visit him at a boutique shop this weekend where he had a launch party for those colognes. So I got to smell them all. And they smell fantastic. I ended up buying a bottle of the Boudreaux, which has kind of like a woody smell. It's kind of in the middle of being a light and a heavy. So you could actually wear it year-round if you wanted to. It wouldn't be too heavy in the summer, and it wouldn't be too light in the winter. So yeah, go check them out and use code PAPERWEIGHTS to save yourself 15%. Father's Day is this weekend. Now you order online, you probably won't make it in time. It definitely won't make it in time for Father's Day, but you can appreciate your father any day of the year. Makes a great gift. So
Yeah.
All right. Nice little plug there. I have no script for those. It's just off the cuff and my own experience. So
You do a much better job than me when I do the short stack versions.
I've said it enough times, what, 20, 30, 40, something like that times.
Yeah.
So,
I'm just like, yeah, go to them and get some stuff. I don't know.
I mean, whatever works.
Yeah.
All right, Justin, how you feeling? How are you feeling about the Gentleman Bastards right now and their situation?
No, I mean, you almost have it be the gentleman bastard. Because some stuff happens that we'll get into. So this is the thing I remembered. I remembered that like most of them died. I kind of remember a little smidge of like the ending stuff, not really. And I'm curious if I'm gonna feel the same way on a reread, but this turning point, it was good, it was shocking and stuff, but it was like after it, I felt it becomes a little bit more of a generic fantasy novel where it's like revenge and all this stuff, and it loses some of the heist stuff in the next two sections that I really enjoyed. So I'm curious if I'm gonna feel the same way. But it's a really good twist and it hits really hard and rip all those cool characters.
Yeah, I made a note here that some of the events in here reminded me of the Red Wedding. Um, and but overall, I enjoyed this section and the suspense of like, oh, they got out, like, and the fight with the devilfish, and they you know, oh no, Locke is trapped in the room, and like all this shit's going on. Like, is he gonna make it out? Well, they recognize him. Um, so yeah, some of those cool things like the hand, the spell that was on the hand was pretty cool. Um, and then the interludes were fun.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, and it's like I said, it's none of this bad. It's just a shift in the type of book this is to where it's not really like a heist novel that you think it is in the first couple of sections. It's more of like a more of a fantasy novel than like a heist novel, which is good and it's well written and everything. It's just a shift that when I first read it the first time, it kind of took me out for it. And I was like, oh, it's fun, cool seeing the revenge and all the plots and stuff, but it's just not quite the heist that it kind
Yeah,
of.
I was thinking something similar when I was reading this section as well. I thought I was like, okay, the beginning sets it up that the heist is these characters are doing the heisting, and then as it continues, like in this section, it's like, oh no, now it's turned on the head. Who's heisted who? Um, and how did it get there? So I'm interested in seeing how all the other puzzle pieces connect in the fourth section.
Yeah, so am I, and I don't really remember how it concludes or anything. I remember it concluding fine. And I own the second book. I was gonna read it, I just didn't get around to it. So it wasn't like, this ruined anything for me. It was just like, oh, okay, this is just a different type of novel than I thought it was gonna be, which, works.
Yeah, I too own the second novel and the third.
Yeah, but I owned them before we were doing the podcast.
Oh,
Before it was cool to own them.
before it was cool to own them,
Yeah.
huh? All right, so let's jump in. Chapter 9, A
All right.
Curious Tale for Countess Amberglass.
Yes, this is a chapter from the perspective of the Donna Sophia of yeah, the people that the general ambassadors are potentially robbing, and she's gonna go see this old countess has a crazy name, Agavesta Vorchenza, who is like this old lady who like might have connections to the Duke and like the Midnighters and stuff. Very much like a Varys type character, which we learn she is in fact the Spider,
Yeah.
which is cool.
I was like,
Um,
why? This so like exact. It's like, yeah, the spider. Okay.
yeah.
Webs and
Uh,
everything. But
yep. So basically, she goes and asks, and she's like, "Hey, like, I need a word for the Midnighters. Are they actually doing their job? We're in this crazy scheme." And she's like, "All right, I'll ask around." And then she goes and talks with like this dude called Stefan Reinhardt, who's like a Midnighter high up captain or something. And they're like, "No, we're not doing anything with them." And she's like, "Aha, it's the Thorn of Camor." And like they know about Locke. They've been like trying to like capture him for a while. Um, and then they're like, "All right, we're gonna get this bastard. We're gonna get him." And they kind of come up with an idea that they're going to get him to go. into Raven's Reach, which is like a castle in the air. It's one of the, I think it's one of those like noble places, or like the Duke's place in one of those Ember Glass towers. So he's basically gonna be isolated. And she's gonna do that by them feigning like financial troubles, and they have to do some stuff. And it's gonna be at this festival, and so like they make a plan to like capture Locke. We'll see if that continues.
Yeah. This this was really fun. So, um, I I've been rewatching Downton Abbey with my wife, because a third and final movie is going to be coming out. So there's five
Yeah.
seasons and then two movies, and then the third one is coming out. So we wanted to rewatch all of it because it's been quite a few years since we touched it. But yeah, the house and the setup for that amber glass house. Um, the butler, chefs, footmen, and everything. It was easy for me to imagine these things now. It's like it. I remember when I first started reading fantasy, and you're like, "Oh, these people in this color livery," and you're just like, "All right, what's livery?" Like, you know. But having seen uh, see it play out and understand like the roles of footman, butler, and everything. Uh, it's easier for me to imagine this now. Um, and then so that was fun. The cake was fun that came out. Um, and funny, he was like, "Let me remove these little these jewels that are on there." And she's like, "No, leave them on there. It would it'd take away from the majesty of this cake." Um, and then the Tea of Light, there was a quote that was funny where she's like, "Let's see if this comes out glowing the other end." So
Yeah, yeah, it was all good. All that trappings, and yeah, Downton Abbey. Besides like the modern technology, it's kind of what I picture this era of what we're reading to be kind of based on.
just a
Because
little
it's
more like a kind of a more of a Spanish city though, right?
Spanish Italian, yeah.
Yeah, Spanish Italian. Yeah.
Like, because it's what, like early 1908 or something. Isn't that Downton Abbey?
Yeah, so it starts the first season starts with the sinking of the Titanic.
Mm.
So they get word basically the whole premise is they get word that the Titanic sunk, and they get a list of people that were on the Titanic, and one of them, or three of them, two or three of them, were actually the family and the heir of uh, Grantham, who is the kind of owner of the Downton Abbey and the estate. So there is he has no heir now, so they have to find an heir. And he has three daughters, so he doesn't have a son. Um, so it was like his cousin was the heir. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, and they can't get Leo to do it because he died.
Leo DiCaprio.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, yeah. All right, I see. I don't know why it didn't take me that long to connect the pieces, but I was just like, okay,
Yeah,
that was good.
sorry.
That
Yeah,
was a good one. Uh, but overall, I do like the Countess has a secret role. Um, I don't know who knows that she is the spider, necessarily.
it did.
Obviously,
It didn't
don't.
seem like the Donna did them. It didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't know that she's the spider, but she knows that she has connections to um the Midnighters.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's fun. So I'm guessing we're gonna see more of the spider in this book and maybe later books. We'll see.
yeah,
Uh,
this seemed like at first this seemed kind of well, after this entire section, this chapter seemed like, okay, where is that going? Because it was so far removed, like they're not going to, well, I mean, it might put more pressure on us about what the fate of Locke is. But obviously Locke is not aware of this issue going on here. Um, so maybe it'll be like a rock and a hard place for Locke now.
Yeah, I think what it sets up is because they lost all their money, he's gonna have to go back and do the scheme to get some money to like do the revenge. And then he's gonna
That
get
makes
captured.
sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
That's what I think is gonna happen. I don't remember, but
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, it's cool. We can move on to the interlude, the Schoolmaster of Roses. This is basically just Johnny's training, and then he finds the hatchets. He's like, these are cool. I'm gonna use the hatchets. And like there's some other stuff with like a cool like belt weapon and some like other improvised like stealth weapons and stuff, which are cool. But it's kind of just like Jean being like, ooh, these are my weapons.
Yeah, I thought it was a very short, intimate chapter. The weapons I wrote down that were kind of cool was like the padded chain whip, uh, the little daggers or stilettos, um, and then of course, this is like that origin story of him finding the Wicked Sisters. I assume these are the Wicked Sisters. If not, they are what led him to um, possess the Wicked Sisters and have
Yeah.
that as his preference of choice, his weapons. I
If
think
he's
in this one, I think it was this interlude, and I didn't write down. It was he's already been training there long enough that like he can run around in the Garden of Roses pretty comfortably. Um,
Yeah, I think it was like a year or so after he's been training. So yeah, he's
he
pretty
doesn't live there. He goes like every week or month or something, like twice a month, twice a week or something.
yeah, something like that. Probably twice a week. I can't remember. But yeah. Um yeah, fun little chapter. He's just more saying up that he's a badass, which gets brought into the next chapter, chapter 10, teeth lessons. So this is like picks up basically right after Locke has been dumped into the ocean. Um, so they're Bug and Jean are like beneath the crawl space, and they see him get dumped in. They basically go after him, but then there's these crazy ass spiders,
Salt devils.
salt devils,
Yeah,
which
they're
are
like
like
spiders that are.
they're like giant spiders, and like they don't normally like a- attack humans. They seem to be kind of like carrion feeders or prey on the weak type of stuff.
And they're
Um,
also usually solitary, not pack creatures.
yeah. So obviously the Bonds Mage has enchanted them. I don't think he can conjure animal. Maybe he can. He can freaking teleport. Um, we don't actually know some of these mages' powers. They seem pretty crazy. But anyway, Jean shows he's a badass and like kills them all, and they rescue Locke. They get him out of the cask full of horse piss, and they have to like resuscitate him and stuff. Uh, but yeah, they're like, all right, we need to get out of here. So they start going back to their hideout, and they find it completely ransacked. All their money's gone. All like their disguise kits and clothes and stuff are destroyed. And unfortunately, the twins are dead.
They had their throats slit ear to ear.
Yep, they
Rip.
are ripped them. Also, they find a weird hand with Jean's name sewn on it, which is I got the name of it.
Hanged
It-
man's grasp spell.
yeah,
It's like an enchanted hand with
yeah. Which basically immobilizes Jean, and then they hear an assassin with a crossbow, and he's surprised that Locke's still alive. And Bug decides that they can take him. He initiates like a combat basically and gets shot in the neck with the crossbow and dies very sadly.
Yeah,
And
I thought he was gonna survive because the way it was written was like the crossbow bolt missed his face but nicked him in the neck. I was like, oh, okay. So he's
yeah,
not dead, but then it was just long enough for him to like, hey, I'm dying.
basically. Uh, very sad. Bug was cool. Rip Bug. Um, and then basically, Locke, he wins a fight surprisingly, but he knocks the dude unconscious and then destroys the hand, freeing Jean from it. Then he like takes he like arranges the bodies of the three fallen gentlemen bastards with like a bunch of paper and stuff. He's gonna do a funeral pyre, and then he's like wakes up the assassin and he's like, "Hey guy, do you want to live?" And he's like, "Yeah, dude." He's like, "Well, good. I'm glad you want to, because I'm not gonna let you." And then basically he's like, "All right, boys, I'm gonna give you the best death offering ever. I'm gonna like destroy the great king and like bring everybody down. It's really cool." And then he like sets the entire place on fire, and it's like you hear the screams as he walks away because that dude burns to death, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, of note, let's see what Jean smashed his knee with the hatchet to make sure that he couldn't like move away. Um, that was fun. The big thing, Locke took his death mark from around his neck and shoved it into his hand, um, and like crushed his hand around it. I mean, it's a shark's tooth. So the guy was like screaming out as it like punctured his hand. Um, I remember last time I was like, I wonder when this death mark is going to show up again. Well, it showed up here. Apparently, he's still been wearing it underneath his
Yeah,
shirt and everything. But
it
why did
it's
he?
it seemed to me that Locke hasn't killed anybody since that first thing. And him doing that's like kind of like John Wick when he's like, "Yeah, I think I'm back." Like Locke's like, "All right, we're gonna murder some people." That's really cool.
Okay.
That's what I got from. I do
Yeah,
have
like,
the
I was thinking like at the end of this, I made some notes. I was like, well, I mean, he had his disguise kit out, but if he was setting everything on fire, so like first my mind was like, it wouldn't make sense to disguise the assassin as himself because he's setting it on fire anyway, so they're not going to see the disguise. But then maybe he would disguise himself as the assassin and get out, and left the death mark to make it look like, you know, they find the burnt bodies and they're like, oh well, this is Locke's death mark. He's dead. So that's where my mind went, but obviously it was not how it played out.
yeah. No, I'm pretty sure it's like, all right, we're gonna start killing people. I do have the death offering speech. If you want me to read that, it's really cool.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. "I promise you a death offering, brothers," Locke whispered when he finished. "I promise you an offering that will make the gods themselves take notice, an offering that will make the shades of all the dukes and kappas of Comor feel like paupers, an offering in blood and gold and fire. This I swear by Aza Gulia, we know who that is now, who gathers us, and by Paralandro, who sheltered us, and by the cricket warden who places his finger on the scale when our souls are weighed. This I swear to Chains, who kept us safe. I beg your forgiveness that I failed to do the same." Pretty cool.
Yeah,
So,
it's fun going back and reading all this because like I forgot, I forgot when Ava Gila was first mentioned, but then you like learn about it at the end of this section. You're like, oh, that's cool. I mean, that's kind of like a faceless man society religion.
yeah.
Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
good
So,
on Locke. Maybe he will become more of a maybe rogue type and not a necessarily an assassin. Oh, not. not assassin, but not a bruiser, but maybe like an assassin type person. So
Maybe, yeah. Um, yeah. I remember reading it the first time. It wasn't that shocking that the twins died because they hadn't really been like that much used. So if you're gonna, but it was a little shocking that they killed Bug as well. And it's just him and Jean are left. Um, yeah, crazy chapter.
yeah, yeah. You mentioned that it's like okay, yeah. The if um Callow and Galdo, it's like all right, they're interchangeable already as it is. So they're essentially the same character, but you have two of them so that they can be in multiple places and do the same thing. So you
Yeah,
know, not too big of a upset that they're gone. But Bug was enough of a individual that it's like, oh, we lost him.
yeah, yeah. The twins were cool. They were just kind of very much like side characters. I wonder if we're gonna get a interlude of like the first meeting of Bug, like we got with Jean stuff. That'd be interesting.
That would be fun. That'd be a nice like, uh, oh, now I remember Bug and oh, that's
Yeah, I could see that in like book two or something.
yep.
All right. You got anything else?
Nope. We can move on to the weird chapter, the
uh,
weird interlude.
Interlude, the tale of the old handball players. So this is basically almost like a parable. It's basically like handball. It's like handball. Uh and there was these two friends on like rival streets or whatever, rival teams, Marcos and Gervain. And Gervain was chosen to be the ref of this game that was happening. And his friend Marcos was in, and basically he got to like the 1 inch yard line of like a football field, but he was like, you didn't actually score, so they lost, and there was like riots and stuff. And it was so bad that like he had to like flee and like not be in certain parts of the city. And then it was like 30 years later, he comes back and he meets up with Marcos. And he's like, oh, hey, my friend Marcos. And Marcos stabs him and kills him. And basically, the parable is for the Comorans, uh, don't wait for revenge. And if you have to, have a long memory. So, kind of that.
Yes, this is 100% a story that Wit would tell.
Yeah. Oh, who do you think Wit would? I wonder if there's a guy we could say Wit was. I don't. I have to reread it again. He's probably a spectator in the field. We can make this. We can make this Cosmere.
Yeah, this is totally Cosmere. Scott Lynch is um, it's headcanon now. Scott Lynch is friends with Sanderson. I don't know if they've actually ever spoke, but um,
Yeah.
yeah,
The bondsmaids just use Stormlight. It's fine.
continuing our Cosmere
Journey.
reading here. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. They use instead of Stormlight, it's like Everglass Light. Well, I mean, it even captures
I
light,
mean,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
the Elder
Yeah.
Glass
All right.
captures light. I mean, we got gemstones.
Hey, we got Jim's. All right.
We've got parables that Wit would tell. Um, we've got magic. We've got familiars. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, who would the Dalinar character be?
Um, I don't know. I mean, we don't really know anyone of royalty,
Except for
really,
the Duke.
except for the Duke.
It,
I mean,
Ronnie, the
kind.
Duke is the one that had the rug, right?
No, that was Kappa
That was Kappa
Barsavi.
Barsavi. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, he's kind of down because he kind of mellowed out a little bit in his old age
Then he's
ish,
badass and then he mellowed-ish out.
and he did capture the entire uh underworld. So I could
Yep.
see him. Yeah. So that happened. All right, we can go on to the next one.
Like
Chapter
I said
11.
on that, just the last thing on that, Marcos, you're a son of a bitch.
Yeah.
All right, next.
Do you think that actually happened, or is that just like a parable?
Um, I think it's realistic that it could happen based on like all the other like backstabbing and murder and everything that goes on in this
Yeah.
um thing happens.
Yeah, I could see it as either if it's like a real story that kind of turned into like a Paul Bunyan type story or anything like that. Or it could be one of the, you know, a parable, an actual parable.
I mean,
Uh
whether so the handball game, 100% I believe happened.
hmm.
Whether or not Marcos murdered him 35 years later, that I don't know. That could be
Yeah.
just like, oh, he was found dead and whatnot. It's like, oh yeah, Marcos probably killed him because
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it's just fun to think. It was a cool little story.
yeah.
Um I think I enjoy those. Like I enjoy the I find it fun that he's branching out the interludes to like not just be the past. So if the structure is gonna continue, I can see that expanding more. Because like we're gonna run out of Locke's past or John's past. Now that the rest of them are dead, we're not gonna have like Bug's past or whatever. That'd be kind of weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool stuff. Chapter 11, A Court of Kappa Raza.
Ooh,
Ooh, who is
who's
that?
Caparaza?
I don't know. So yeah, it picks up basically directly after they burn that dude alive, and they're kind of like figuring stuff out. They figure that like the reason there was only one assassin was that probably something big is gonna happen, and he needed the bulk of his men for something. And uh, Locke's like, yeah, there's gonna be like a party and crazy stuff happening at the floating grave. So I need to go there and witness what's about to happen. Because something crazy gonna go down. Jean, you go like find us a place to like lay low. And so basically that's what happens. He has a little bit of disguises left. He disguises himself as like an old beggar, slips his way into the floating grave. Um, there's like, rowdiness and stuff happening. Uh, it's packed. It's crazy stuff's happening. Then basically, Captain Sorry is like, "Hey, let's have a teeth show with our badass sisters who are really good at this." And so they like have their own like hole that opens up in the chamber where the sharks can live and stuff. It's pretty cool. He's got his own like sarlacc pit. Um, except for water. And then basically the shark swims up and is controlled by the Bonza Mage and like basically bites the Kappa and like fucks him up. And basically his sons come to like help him out and the sisters kill them both. And then basically Kappa Raza now, the Great King teleports in with the Bonds Mage. And it's like, what's up? I am now Caparaza, which means vengeance, so it's not very subtle. And then Locke sees him and he's like, oh, he's like a spitting image of the sisters. So there were triplets, not twins. So something happened between them. He does in a very uh aggravating move whisper the reason why he did it to Capra Barsavi before he kills him, but we don't get to hear that. Um, so we'll find out later probably why he did it. Um, then he basically gives um like a choice. You can like basically swear fealty to me or leave in 3 days and you'll be cool. And a bunch of them start swearing to him. And he's like, oh, that's what he was doing. He was killing the Garistas that were loyal to the Kappa and then establishing his own while doing that. So this was like a big plan that's been going on for a long time. He also reveals that he poisoned Kappa Barsavi's wife, or the twins did, the twin girls did, through like basically like arsenic or something through um like her food. So yeah, pretty crazy. Um, yeah,
He did take on all of the debts and like 2 and 4 that Kappa Barsavi had in place. So like the first one he paid out was Amon, and he gave him like 1,000 crowns and a room, and whores galore and whatnot, whatever he wanted to have. Um, but yeah,
yeah.
that let's see. I'll say
Oh,
section two. Um,
yeah.
so we can finish the 5 and 6 are a
Yeah,
little bit different.
yeah.
Um,
Forgot that's not an interlude. But basically it ends and there's like a plague ship arrives. It's basically a totally different thing, and they're like camped out in the ocean and can like get supplies or something.
Locke also made his way out and
Yeah.
tripped over some falling building parts. Um, did you mention that already?
No, yeah,
Oh,
Locke like passes out basically at the
yeah.
end.
He smells limestone, cooked fire, and urine, and then passes out right onto his face. So, um, whatever is going to happen, I got the sense that like it was like some towers that were knocked down or something.
Yeah,
Um,
it seems like a lot. Like
like
this is like the really poor part of town, so it's kind of just yeah.
okay, yeah. The yeah the first of all, section 2 reminded me like of the fighting pits in Altered Carbon. I just got images of that in I think the first season, not the second season, the first season of Altered Carbon. Um, Section 5. So section 5, you mentioned it's like a rundown part of town. It is, but also like I'm wondering if there's like an actual war that starts. Jean mentioned earlier, I think it was Jean. He had mentioned to Locke earlier, it's like we're about to experience war. Um, and I know it's like, okay, yeah, it's like vengeance, like him against the Gray King and whatnot, but um, with Caparazza taking over, there's got to be some resistance, some people that are not gonna swear, and so it could end up being a war. Who knows what Duke Nikovani thinks of this, if he even cares. Uh,
Yeah.
and then
Oh, he Caparaza did say that the secret peace was still being in place. That might be why he used Locke and killed off the entire crew because he knew what they were doing. Um, besides just Locke being really good at, his job and stuff like that.
knew what he was doing, as in robbing the
Robbing the
nobility.
nobles, yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. Too bad he failed.
Yeah.
Yeah, this ship, the guards, the guards in the watchtower that went out to catch it and realized that it was a like it was painted black, like it's lacquered black and ornamented bow to stern with wood filigree, witchwood filigree. So it's like it's not a rundown ship. Um, there's a lot of money put onto this ship. So
Yeah.
um,
It's
it's like merchants or
yeah, it's
nobility.
called the Satisfaction from Imberlane, which I couldn't remember if we actually heard that name before with the ship. But Imberlane is where like that Civil War was supposedly taking place, so maybe it actually happened. Um, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how that's going to feature into the scheme quite yet.
yeah, I don't know either. I like this scene. I like this whole chapter.
Yeah, it was cool. It was fun seeing the like preparations they have for plague ships and like that there's actually like codes for if your ship has the plague on it and stuff, so you don't dock it, you know, and kill a bunch of people.
And these people actually followed those laws and rules.
Yeah,
Unlike a lot of people in stupid fucking movies, like, I need help. You gotta let me in there. No, you have to quarantine. No, I need the help now. And they bust in, they fuck everything up and spread the virus and plague.
yeah,
It's like their life is more important. Well, but
yeah. Good. Yeah, it's a crazy chapter. Especially since this plague ship showed out of nowhere. But you know, the the triplets now are in play. So I guess Locke is gonna try to kill all three of them.
I did
Uh,
like the sisters like right before the shark. So one thing they made a distinction about if you put blood in the water, sharks they just kind of mindlessly go. But whatever they put in the water brought it directly, and they were able to like focus that and make it wild. Like blood makes them just want to eat things. This other one is like tying a rubber band to a bull's nuts for make and try to ride the bull as long as you can in a rodeo, right? Um, and then they're like, all right, this death is in honor of Kappa Barsavi as it jumps out and attacks.
yeah,
It's like, ah, okay.
yeah. The Bonds Mage really likes his animals, huh?
He does. He does. He uses them a lot.
And we find out he can teleport because he teleports him and Caparazzo to the platform. So we don't. Maybe we'll learn the extent of his power. He did seem to have to use his hands to do stuff. Locke kind of noted that. He had like rings and he'd like stick his fingers around to cast spells. So
I so I didn't catch that he had rings on his fingers. I thought it was the rings on his wrist, which
oh,
they were talking about earlier, like the number of rings.
maybe it's that. I don't know. I
There was
remember
something
him doing
about
some hand gestures.
he could still be doing that.
Yeah.
Aren't there some people that do like hand talk, or am I getting that mixed up with Throne of Glass?
Uh, I assume they have like Thieves' Can or whatever, like in D&D. I can't remember if that came up.
Gotcha.
But yeah, yeah, status quo is now very much dead. Um, so now we can go into the final interlude. So a short little section, but pretty pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is a short section. Pretty crazy stuff does happen in it, but
Man.
all right. The Lady of the Long Silence.
Yeah, so this is basically Jean goes to Death Goddess Aza Gulia, that's how you say it. Basically he's now like a apprentice, kind of like Locke was with like all that other stuff, trying to learn so he can pose as the disciples of the gods. And we find out that they're basically doing a martyr. They're trying to get people close to death so they can like be close to the god, maybe see some stuff. Yeah, so they're like they have to like go up these winding stairs that are exposed to elements to like ring bells. And like a lot of the apprentices fall off and die. They have to like do lots of crazy stuff. They like take poison or they almost die to like see stuff. Jean's like, yeah, I've seen death before. Yeah, and he says a bunch of stuff about his past, which was fun. And they're like, oh, sweet, you can get to the third level where you take this like every day, you do some crazy stuff. And Jean's like, no, I'm out,
I
peace.
am not in this death cult,
Yeah,
this
yeah, it,
suicide cult.
yeah. So he runs away. And then we get some scenes where he's getting teased. And they're like, yeah, I just ate pastries all day and had money because I like the god of commerce or whatever. Seems like a much better deal.
That was hilarious that the Sansas, the
Yeah,
twins, were like, "Yeah, we're over here doing this." Oh,
yeah. And then Jean like picks up his hatchet and he's like, maybe I'll serve the death goddess in another way. And it was pretty badass. That's kind of how it ends.
Then he just like sets them down. They're like, oh, that's what he means.
Yeah, I'm gonna kill some people.
Yeah, it was. I had to reread the distinction several times of death everlasting and death the transition because I was like, once they started describing death the transition, I was like, okay, this is just getting you as close to death as possible, but not like putting
Yeah,
you in danger of dying, but not letting you die.
yeah, it's literally martyrs. Which
Um,
you haven't seen that movie. You might not want to, but it kind of has stuff to do with that. And
yeah, it's a it the French version, the French one. I never watched the American one, but the French.
I've heard the American version's bad.
Yeah, I have not watched it. The French version is good, but it is a it's
If any movie needed a content warning, it's that movie.
yes. What's that what's the term of a movie they use?
Uh,
Hostel has this
uh, yeah,
genre.
torture porn.
Torture porn, yeah. Yeah. So it is a trigger and warning. It is torture porn for half of it anyway. Um,
Yeah,
it's interesting.
just like
Half of
weirdly
it is kind of like a
elevated.
cabin. Half of it's like a cabin revenge horror. Um, and the other half is like torture porn.
Yeah, I'll say it's the best one. Like if you can get through like Saw or Hostel and stuff like that, and you haven't seen it, watch it. It is heavy though, but it's basically they're servants of this death goddess, so it was kind of fun.
The first Saw wasn't actually like torture porn. The
No,
first Saw was pretty good.
second Saw with the needle pit and stuff like that.
Yeah, after
Yes.
after the first one, it was like, hey, what kind of weird traps can we come up with to make people have to like force themselves into inflicting pain to get out of a situation? Like, okay,
Oh, let
good.
me ask you this. All right, so we're more Cosmere connections. Do you think Taravangian came here and established this so you can get some death rattles? Mhm.
I could I could see the temple of the Lady of Long Silence being a product of Teravangian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he basically does the same thing in Stormlight, kind of.
Yeah.
Spoiler for that book, kind of
Yeah.
ish, not really. Oh yeah, it was fun. Yeah, I would not want to be a death goddess a disciple.
No.
I would much rather be a serving the god of thieves or commerce or anything.
It- yeah, and an initiate of the Lord of Coin and Commerce, that would be fun. You get to eat pastries and wine every week or two, and you get to spend money.
Yeah, it also speaking of like Game of Thrones, it reminded me of both the Silent Sisters and the Faithless Ones, kind of mixed together a little bit. Just because like they weren't supposed to talk, and they have like,
The Silent Sisters.
yeah, isn't that what they're called? The ones that deal with the dead bodies. No,
Oh, yeah.
that don't talk. I forget. Might
Okay.
not be the actual name of them. It's something like that though.
Are you're talking about like the
In Game of Thrones.
yeah, no, I know are they not the ladies that are in the Faceless Men temple,
No,
or are they in the
no, they're part of the Seven in
okay,
Westeros.
they're septas. They're
Uh,
specific septas.
yeah, yeah, they are the Silent Sisters. All right. Yeah, they serve the stranger, which is death in Game of Thrones, and like they don't talk; they deal with bodies and stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Handmaidens of the Stranger. They're not to be confused with sept. Okay.
Yeah, they're like their own weird. They're like the morticianers of Game of Thrones and do other crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's fun. You can see um, a lot of influence from things. I mean,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
got to have some influence, and it's fun. And then there are um, it is reasonable that people come up with the same idea,
oh yeah,
independent of each other. But then there's also just, there's a lot of pull and draw on actual real world history and say, hey, I want this to be a representation kind of this thing that I know of in history. So
oh yeah. I'm not saying he stole anything or anything. It's just religions has a lot of different interpretations, and it's
yeah,
fun
I wasn't
seeing the
saying, yeah,
yeah.
I wasn't saying you said he stole it either. So
No, it's just a lot of the religions pull from the same cloth, so they're very interconnected. This was also kind of like the just the religion that Tef's family was from, right? Where they were like trying to get close to death so they could
the
become
envisagers,
yeah,
yeah.
because they were trying to get close to death so they could get powers or whatever. Just interesting how the concepts flow between books. It's fun.
Yeah, that's real fun. Yeah, so next section we will finish the book. So you usually ask me, and I haven't thought of it. But what do you think is going to happen next?
Next, and like I said, I don't really have too many recollection of it. Uh,
You already said he's going to go back to the Salvara game to get more money and get caught between that. But
I assume that's gonna happen. It's been set up. Um, you know, and there's this ship from Emberlane, so if that's gonna somehow factor into that game. Um, and maybe he's gonna like leverage that into fighting the Kappa somehow. I don't really know how he's gonna do anything, but it's gonna be crazy.
he's going to figure something out.
Yeah,
He's got the brain, right?
yeah. I'm curious how what this Kappa Raza, who he is, because there's a whole. I mean, it hasn't really. We know that he's now the brother of the sisters or whatever, but we still don't know how he had the money to hire the bonds mage for as many days as he did. So is he like full on like Count of Monte Cristo revenge story where he got found some buried treasure and became super rich? Like I'm very curious what that's
How much was it? 1,000 crowns per day?
something like that. Yeah, and he's been there for like a couple of months or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say he could have like promised him all the money that the gentleman bastards had.
True. That's what it was like 40 something thousand.
Yeah, that would be 40 days. I don't know how long a month is in here.
Yeah. Yeah, that could work. Eh, yeah, we still don't really know how he found out about the gentleman bastards. If he used the bonds mage, like, or like he somehow found out himself. So all that stuff's very interesting. I'm assuming we're gonna get more on him uh throughout that. And yeah. I'm curious what the interludes are gonna be now that most of the crew is dead.
I could see it doing more world building,
Same.
which I like because this section continued to open that world up um, in a fun way. Just
Yeah.
show glimpses of different things.
Mhm.
So,
Do you have a prediction?
um, Locke survives. The Gray King dies.
Yeah.
Um, how that happens, I don't know. Let's see. So the plague's on that ship. Somehow, I think somehow the plague does come over and spreads. Um, who's gonna get sick? I don't know. Maybe the sisters do. Maybe the Bonds mage contracts the plague and dies, and that leaves the Gray King basically open. Because it seems that the Gray King is kind of not powerful in and of himself.
Yeah.
Um, other than like politically, right? So he has something that he can hold or lord over the bonds mage. Um, and then the bonds mage is that protection that he has. Um,
Maybe his hawk gets sick. Like it like flies over to the boat or something, gets sick.
yeah, I can see that. I think the plague is going to come into play.
Kind of
Um,
has to, because it showed up in the same chapter where all the crazy shit happened.
yeah. Um, and then of course, like where Locke is in a rundown part of town. Jean where did he send Jean?
I think he was going to go meet him, so I think he's in that hash war place or whatever it's called.
Ashfall.
Asheville. I think it
Yeah.
makes sense he would be trying to meet up with Jean and then just kind of pass out because he's had a rough day.
Yeah, that is
So yeah, I think
it's a lot that happened in a day.
yeah.
Um so like from the time they met with the Grey King first, it's been a day and a half now.
Yeah.
He's had very little sleep and made himself sick. Um,
And then
got in a fight.
got drowned in horse
Worst
piss.
urine. Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Like that's a rough day, man.
That was a rough day.
That'd be a rough month, but
Yeah.
uh,
Let me ask you this. What's your favorite part that you read today? This chapter section.
my favorite part in this section, let's see.
I'm still
Um,
fan.
I'm scrolling through to remember.
Oh, I will say, with the spider, it confirmed a thing that I didn't know if was true. If he's known as the Thorn of Camor, I thought maybe he would have like he made that up if, in like the spur of the moment or something. But no, that's he's like, actually the known of that.
Okay. My favorite. So in for imagery, I really like the ship coming up. Um, that subsection was real nice. Like I think that I might like remember that one. Much like in the last section, I think I'll always be able to remember them climbing down um, the lattice work and getting in a fight with the lover that was leaving the window, and then the woman and the husband and all that stuff. Um, they're just sections that just really stick out. I know you've mentioned in the past that um, C.S. Friedman has chapters where you remember that chapter. For me, these two were kind of that. The ship one less so, but
It is very evocative. Yeah.
it's got that like it's such a setting and a vibe in it. It's like dark and you're just like, oh, there's a ship that's coming out. Let's go out and meet it and all this stuff. So
Oh yeah, definitely. It was cool.
yep,
Especially because it was unexpected. What the hell's going on? We just read about this crazy stuff. And then you get this like really good mood piece and about this quarantine ship.
yeah,
And the play has been a big part of this story so far. You know, it's how Locke became with the Thief Maker and all that other stuff. So, yeah, cool stuff. I'll say for me, it's probably that speech that Locke gives of vengeance. It was really cool.
That one was really cool. The other thing I'll say was really fun. One of my top moments was the hand.
Mm.
The hand with Jean's name written in it, and you're like, oh shit. And the fact that like as Locke chopped the hand up more, it weakened the spell.
Yeah,
And then like once Jean's name was no longer like together, then the choking, like I imagine him he's like short of breath. He was like gasping. So I would just imagine it like a hangman's noose almost. Um, I mean, hangman's grasp is the name of the what he called it. So um, once he chopped the name apart, he was able to breathe again, almost like cutting the rope and letting them fall and go and breathe.
yeah, and it very much gives you that like with demons and stuff, you need their true name to like be able to do it. So that's why he couldn't do anything to Locke because Lamora is not his actual last name. So um
Yeah, I was going to mention that like we skipped over that when we were going through the chapter that he remembered, like Locke remembered, oh yeah, he did tell me if I had the true name, what he could do to me. So
yeah. So names are pretty important in this society if you're gonna be dealing with magi. I'm curious if we're gonna get more like some not full Sanderson, but maybe a little bit more explanation of like their powers and stuff, like where it comes from, what their limitations are. Because right now it just seems like they can do anything, which is scary and cool. But I'm curious if we're getting more clarification.
yeah, I hope so too. Like if it's open ended and it's like, oh yeah, there's no limits to the power, then you're like, okay, well, there's no like there's no finagling, there's no planning on how like, oh, I figured out if I do this and I catch them here, then I've circumvented their power and can kill them.
Yeah,
If their power is unlimited, it's like, oh, I just got to be stronger than them or sneak up on them,
yeah,
which is kind of like anticlimactic for taking care of that problem, if you will.
yeah. And yeah, I'm curious if I ever get like a friendly mage in the party because we need I mean, the next books or so, we need to re-establish the Gentleman Bastards. So it'd be kind of cool to have maybe not like a full mage, but like a shaman or something that has magic. That'd be cool.
It'd be fun if the entire Bonds Mage guild of Carthane. I almost said Caltaine again. It's Throne of Glass.
You really like her, huh?
I need to read more of it. Yeah. Um, I'm halfway through that book. I'll probably read more this coming week on the we're going on our father-daughter trip. So, um, where was I? Oh yeah, maybe that whole order is going to be underneath the Gentleman Bastard's reign realm.
Maybe. That'd be cool. I mean, they're probably gonna, I'm guessing they're gonna kill one of them and then spark a war between them. Because,
That could happen. But if the bond, so the way it wouldn't happen is if the bonds mage dies of the plague.
hmm,
But then again, they might be like, oh, Locke was responsible for him contracting the plague, like, or he contracted it in a battle with Locke, and so it's like,
yeah.
well, we got to kill Locke now.
Yeah, we don't even know if, like, they can contract plagues or die or anything like that. So it'd be fun learning more about the magic.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, it's now a revenge tale.
It is. It is a revenge tale. It's no longer heist. He has to heist the life of the Grey King.
Well put.
All right. So yeah, that's part 3. Next week or next maybe 2 weeks from now when the episode actually releases. But our next full episode is going to be from part 4 and the rest of the book. So look forward to finding out what happens and discussing it. And like I said at the beginning, visit our sponsor, Mudcat Whiskers, www.mudcatwhiskers.com. Use code PAPERWEIGHTS at checkout to save yourself 15%. Like, follow, subscribe, share, leave a rating and review. And we will see you next time.